So about 4 years ago we moved into this house and it had this conservatory up, which is old and past its best, but we wanted to keep hold of it. But when we moved in, it was February and it was freezing, and I've put these temporary walls up now, but it was open to the kitchen, so it made the whole house freezing, even though it had 2 radiators in it. So we'd heard about insulating the ceiling, so I had a company come round, give us a price, and it was astronomical. So I thought, I'll have a go myself. But that was in the days before I'd started making videos. So now we've decided to knock down the conservatory, not because the insulation doesn't work, but because we're making way for a big extension. Now, insulating the ceiling has been brilliant for the last 4 years. It was one of the first jobs I did when we moved into the house. Now, it keeps the house warmer, well, it keeps the space warmer in winter and a lot cooler in summer. So the conservatory's been usable all year round, no matter what the temperature is outside. And because it was open to the kitchen, we didn't have a problem at all. It was brilliant, best thing I ever did. So a lot of people have asked me about it. So as I say, unfortunately I didn't do a video when I was putting it up. But now that I'm taking it down, I'm going to do a video sort of in reverse to show the stages of what you've got to do it. Now, the average DIYer could do it, it's not difficult. You could clad it in the PVC stuff, but I put plasterboard up and then I skimmed it myself. Now, the hardest part was actually plastering it, so if you got a professional to do that bit, it'd save you a lot of money at least, but the other stages are really easy that any average DIYer could easily do. Okay, so I've started to unpick the corner, and as you can see, there's paint, there's plaster, and there's plasterboard. Then there's battens and insulation, and behind the insulation is another row of battens to create an air gap. So you've got an air gap between the roof and the insulation, and then an air gap between the insulation and the plasterboard, so you don't have any issues with condensation at all. Right, so I'm just going to start taking down all this plasterboard now, so I can show you what's behind it and uncover the insulation. And I think this is a Victorian shape, so it's got all the different angles on it. So I'll just give you a pan round the room. They're the temporary doors that I've put up just so the kitchen's not open to the elements, because it is February and it's freezing. There's snow on the ground. Okay, so get to it. Okay, so half of the plasterboard's down on the ceiling now. Thought I'd just stop here and show you what's there. Okay, so all them battens, they're screwed over the insulation and into the battens that are attached to the spars or the rafters of the conservatory's roof. So the plasterboard was screwed. It was 10mm or 9.5mm plasterboard, so it wasn't too heavy on the roof. If you're unsure about how strong your structure is, you might want to get a structural engineer just to say it can take the weight of the insulation and the plasterboards and the plaster. Okay, so something I would have done differently if I'd done it over again is maybe foamed these areas between the battens and the walls. Everywhere there was a joint in a board, I put a cross member just so I could screw both sides of the joint. And then remember your scrim tape, very important. In a conservatory, because of the heat changes, especially in the summer, there's a lot of movement. So if you haven't scrimmed the joints, they'll probably crack and open up. Now on the ridge, we've got a light, so I had to deal with the lecky coming through. If you're unsure about electrics, then call a qualified electrician. And on the ridge I put a piece of 6B1 and then I screwed a piece of plasterboard to it, so I had a flat before the angles come down, which worked pretty well. So I'll carry on and take down this side of the ceiling, but I won't bore you with that. When I put the plasterboards up, I did screw them, and I put a lot of screws in because of the movement that would happen. Now, if you put nails in, you'd end up with all the little heads popping through, which is quite annoying. So always use screws. That's my recommendation anyway. It takes a bit longer, but it's definitely worth it. Okay, so now that the plasterboard's all down, it's time to take down the battens. So I'll just simply unscrew them off the battens underneath, or on top as the case may be. Okay, so now with some of the battens down, you can see the foil blanket better. Now, I got this off Amazon. It's called Superquilt. I'll leave a link in the description below with some of the tools as well. So there's battens above there, same 2B1 battens that I just took down, and then I use 14mm staples in a normal staple gun. They could have done with being a little bit longer, but that's all I had, so we've done the job. Now, it was difficult getting all that blanket up there by myself, so my wife helped me in the end, and I found the best thing to cut it with was a pair of wallpaper scissors. I tried the Stanley knife and that was awkward to get through, but the scissors seemed to work great on it. Now, everywhere where I've jointed it, now I've done a few joints because it's all triangles, so I sort of pieced it in to make it go as far as I could. So wherever you've got a joint, just put the 2-inch aluminium foil tape over to seal the joints. You overlap them by 3 inches or 70mm and then tape them. So it's fairly simple. So I'll just take down the rest of the battens and then start taking down the foil blanket. All the battens are down now, which reveals just the foil blanket. So it does stay up by itself just with the staples put in it. I don't know whether I mentioned, but I just used ordinary 2B1 softwood battens. Roofing battens would have been probably better, but this is what I had, so this is what I used, and they've been fine. So yeah, I'll put you on time lapse again, and I'll take down the foil blanket. Okay, so at the end of the video, there's the beginning of the job. The first stage was to put all them 2B1 battens onto the rafters, or joists, or spars, whatever you want to call them. Now this worked really well for us. It's not perfect, but it worked really well. Just remember to try and seal up all the places where you'd get any kind of draft coming through. And obviously if you've got any leaks in your roof, fix them first. So thanks for watching, and I hope you've learned a bit from this video. And if you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.